Yeah. So while we got you here, BJ, I was playing on Twitter and I follow News Nation. That's the news channel that I actually watch because I feel like they're very like down the middle. You know, they're very
Yeah.
down the middle that news channel, and I don't think any other news channel is. And all of a sudden, you pop up on there on their Twitter feed because they were covering the Janelle Grant updates on News Nation's Twitter feed. That's where I tagged you in on you were
Wow.
on News Nation's Twitter feed this morning, and I think they actually aired some of it on their channel. So News Nation's BJ Bethel is here on the show. Everybody, no, I'm just kidding.
I'm not work.
But
Don't say that.
yeah,
I
yeah,
work for their competitor right now,
oh
but
yeah,
but
but no. So they were
I'm not aware of this. Wow, it's fantastic. Thank
yeah,
you.
well they're the only cable news out there that's really kind of covering the story in
Yeah,
depth, and
Ashley
so
Banfield has done a fantastic job
yeah,
bringing people on. She's had Dave on. I mean, some of the guests haven't been the best. I think she may have had she had somebody on to discuss Ashley Massaro's case. I think it was the Herald attorney that did the huge uh, class action claim, but she's really done a great job of covering this story with Vince McMahon and Janelle Grant, better than the other cable networks, I think.
yeah.
I mean, they've really done a good job, and I like how their setup works. I mean, watching Chris Cuomo and Bill O'Reilly fight, it's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like I win no matter what.
Yeah.
So
But they were live streaming an update from Janelle Grant's attorney, Ann Callis. You were on there asking a question. So what is the latest that's going on with the case? I know she's hired a PR firm, much
yes,
like Weinstein's victims did, and they were really trying to get out front of this Vince documentary that's debuting on Netflix next week.
yeah, that's kind of from the press release. They even mentioned that in the first paragraph. And their story is that to get the name of the firm is SKDK is what they go by. It was SKD Knickerbocker is what a lot of people know it as. This is a highly big time media relations firm. It works primarily with Democrat politicians. The current managing director was the former spokesperson for Joe Biden when he was vice president under Barack Obama. They also represented a lot of victims in the Washington Commanders suit against the owner, Daniel Snyder, that led to him selling the team. They represented a lot of people in the Harvey Weinstein suit. That's where they got a lot of their name play from, was or just some a lot of their work that people are probably most familiar with is through the Harvey Weinstein case, representing victims in that. They are a very big deal. To me, this signals that you're going to see a lot different approach from Janelle Grant's attorneys and counsel and her current reps and her new reps, which they're both. She now has two rep teams helping her out. I think this is going to signal a completely different approach where they want to get her story out, and they want to get it out now.
They
And
have
that was
to.
kind of the voice today, was with the McMahon's documentary coming out, and this was something it was funny. I kind of wrote a column about how Vince was treating all this like it was like another wrestling storyline.
Hmm.
And Ann Callis used this term: is Janelle Grant is not a WWE storyline. She deserves to have her whole story told. And other survivors that have suffered in the company, and she mentioned 4 people that had signed non-disclosure agreements recently for $12 million in the last couple of years. They deserve to have their stories told fully. And I think maybe that was one reason why they said they haven't seen the McMahon documentary. A lot of people haven't. Nobody with the case, it was on the live stream, said they'd seen it, but they're hoping it shows a lot of what has happened with the victims and a lot of what's happened with him, in the last several months, the last 2 years. But they made it clear they want to see their stories told. I think that's
Yeah.
something that needs to happen. Everybody keeps viewing this through the Vince WWE lens, and this isn't their story. This is something that's happened to these people, and they deserve to have their stories told. And I thought, yeah, they came out firing today. It makes me wonder if there's going to be some things happening in the case. I mean, I think the timing's interesting with the documentary and everything, but we'll see what happens. But this is serious business. I mean, their law firm was. I mean, the representatives with Grant are serious, and this is definitely a serious media firm. This is big time. And I don't think things are going to be getting easier for WWE. I don't think things are going to be getting any easier for Vince, John Laurinaitis, for Colker, or Peak Wellness.
I think that the approach they're taking with spinning the narrative is really good. WWE has always been very good at trying to
Yes.
control a narrative. Even when they didn't do a great job of it, they've always done a good job controlling it. And
Yeah.
especially when it relates to Vince. So I think the fact that Janelle Grant's, for lack of a better term, team is out there trying to say this is her story. We're not side characters in this. This is her story. I like
Yes.
that because that Vince documentary is going to eat up a lot of oxygen coming up soon. How can it not? So the fact that they're trying to be proactive and get out ahead of it is smart. And I think that going on the offensive with this is the right move in this case.
Yeah, I was pretty disturbed that they had like kind of a 5-minute mention of it in the beginning from one of the people that had a pre-screener. I think Thurston talked to him. But yeah, Brandon Thurston actually had this in a story that he talked to somebody who had seen a pre-screener for it, and they just didn't tell him any details. He didn't leak any details, but said there's 6 episodes, I believe, or maybe it was 4. And there's 5 minutes mention of the sex scandals in the beginning of one of the first minutes, like for like 5 minutes in the first episode. Then the last episode is dedicated to the scandals. I'm just like, I just found that kind of really distasteful. The Brandon's credit, Netflix PR went after him in his own Twitter mentions, wanting him to like take this down, saying he was in violating an embargo, and he, rightfully, responded, that's ridiculous. I didn't get a screener. I'm not part of your embargo. Like, it's like, I didn't do anything here. I mean, he could have probably wrote it out word for word if he got the report. They can't do anything to him on that. That was just ridiculous. That did not show me good faith from Netflix that this is going to be on the up and up.
I don't know what they get out of
actually.
actually. I don't know what Netflix is getting out of actually showing the documentary.
I don't know either.
If I were them, I would have just sold the damn thing to another streamer, to like fucking Paramount.
Sell to Amazon or something.
Yeah.
Plus, this is the problem: is what's Netflix now? They're going to be the main carrier of WWE Raw for the next 5 years. So that's tainted. Who else is involved in this documentary? Bill Simmons, noted massive, huge WWE fan, who's Andre the Giant documentary was, basically a fiction, about how, Hogan's worried that Andre's not going to do the job, Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's there's just a lot of problems with this. I haven't seen it. I'll give it a fair chance, but I know that they've interviewed. I know Dave Meltzer was interviewed before and after the scandal broke, so I trust Dave very much to say what's
I thought
on his
Dave
mind.
said that he did not get interviewed after the scandal broke, and in fact,
Oh really?
I was of the impression. Now I could be wrong. And you guys feel free in the comments or whatever, correct me. But I got the impression that nobody was interviewed afterwards, although they did try. They sent feelers out to Janelle Grant's team to be interviewed for, but that never came to fruition.
Yes, that was something.
They didn't really interview anybody afterwards.
I sent feelers out to Steven Spielberg once, and never, it didn't really mean anything.
Yeah,
but I think they didn't get any other wrestlers or other personalities to appear after the scandal broke. They couldn't get anybody to talk after that. I do believe that Dave came back and did some interviews with him for Matt. I'm pretty solid on that.
Okay.
I think they got some other people. I think David Showman, he's supposed to be a wrestling historian. He only
David Schumacher,
whatever his name is. The guy used the fiefdom word during, he described territories as fiefdoms on the Andre the Giant documentary, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
He's a ringer guy. He does.
Ringer's like Ryan Satin North or something. I don't know. I don't get. I mean, it's totally ridiculous how they even approach the wrestling business. There's little to no curiosity about it. It's watch Mike and JD. Don't go to the.
Thank you. I'm gonna
watch Mike and JD. Don't go to the Ringer ever.
Mike and I know some of those guys at Ringer, and I hate to bury their stuff, but they're just WWE fans. Like, and what this
not wrestling fans.
They're not wrestling fans. They're WWE fans, and they're very happy to toe the corporate line because, like, then you get then you get all those WWE perks, and you get the legental blessings. You know, he genuflex in front of
The
you,
legental.
like you
Well,
get treated you get treated legently. Like that's mine. I'm claiming that one.
That guy, man. Somebody was posting yesterday, ripping them, and I guess they were talking about Janel. They're going to have a huge press conference about this thing, and all these Ringside News posted it. It's like, oh, they're part of the legental mafia, I guess. Whatever. I have emailed the guy asking for a comment. He's never sent me anything. I got to say, I'm totally surprised that he's never sent me anything asking for questions.
Oh, yeah,
asking me
shocked that he doesn't want to talk to you, man. I mean,
I don't know why WWE hasn't ever want to talk to me. I did send the only time I've ever really, everyone's like, you just want a job in a business. I'm like, hell no. I've covered this thing for 20 years. You think I'd want to work in this business?
Here's the thing, though. People say that to everybody to disarm the argument. If you are against the WWE machine, clearly you just want to be a part of them. So you're angry that you're not a part of them. So that's why you're mean, because you just want to be in. You're
they think
idiots.
that, and they're like, that'd be my dream, working for WWE, and I'm kind of like, yeah.
Have you ever met anybody that used to? It's like, have you ever met anybody that used to work for WWE? Why would I want that life? Like, that was a miserable life for a lot of people.
Ask anybody. I mean, I know people who still feel it's the end all be all. I mean, but that number is shrinking huge. I mean, the wrestlers, the people joining wrestling training camps today, for the last 10 years, they're joining them not because they wanted to be John Cena. They joined them because they wanted to be Shinsuke Nakamura. They wanted to be Hiroshi Tanahashi. They wanted to be the Young Bucks. They wanted to be Dean Ambrose / John Moxley. They wanted to be, they wanted to be Okada. That's the guys who are training today. That's one reason why you're seeing college athletes getting pulled in the WWE system, because they're not brainwashed into thinking that WWE is the NFL of pro wrestling. Well, in some ways it is, but it's not the only. It's like trying to say that there's only one genre of film. You only have action movies, or you only have rom-coms, or you only have horror movies, or you only have westerns. It's pro wrestling is different. And they've lost that war, and especially after this deal's done, they've lost it completely. And it's just, listen to these people. It's just like, I did send a job application as a joke once. I was noticing we were getting, when I was at TWMP News about 20 years ago, the guy who ran a site, Kevin Romano, who's got one of the craziest 9/11 stories ever. He lives in Brooklyn, but he kind of gave me my start writing for his site. We were both a couple dumb kids, and but he noticed at noon around lunchtime we were getting all these like traffic from WWE domains, like WWE.com's domain, coming in and looking at the news, and so I just like made a fake web. They were hiring screenwriters at the time, and I tried to make a screenwriting thing based on my writing at TWMP, and sent them a bunch of clips of columns I wrote, like basically about Katie Vick and stuff, just as a kind of as a troll, because I knew they were reading my stuff. I thought it'd be funny, and I was like, okay, well, I'll send this application. It was back when it took like 2 hours to send an application in through something or through an email. But that was the only time I've ever done anything as far as like as a work, was as a gag, and I only showed it to the guys at the website. They thought it was funny. But it's just like, listen to these people, and it's like, I mean, I don't know how anybody would want to ever actually work in the business. It's actually talk to anybody that worked in the business. It's no, never, not in my life.
I saw something on our Discord. I think it was our Discord or our Slack. I forget which, Mike, where someone said, "Hey, remember when they got Lance Storm to get rid of his school, gave him a job, and fired him 4 months later?"
Yeah.
Well, what they did is Steve Carino's sister. Out better people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Remember what they did to Steve Carino's sister? They moved her all the way. She had to give up like her whole life, moved to Florida, and then they fired her like almost immediately, like right after she started during the pandemic.